Ponytails podcast. Here we go. What's going on, everyone? Andres Gambo here for another episode of the Ponytails podcast. Thank you for listening. If this is your first show, if you haven't heard us before, welcome. We interview people who sold books door to door for 80 hours a week, Monday through Saturday, with a company called Southwestern Advantage. Now, we are not affiliated with a company at all, but all we do is just bring on alumni of that program and see what they're up to now. Some of them are doing all sorts of different stuff, climbing Mount Everest, being amazing CEOs of crazy, awesome companies. We've got the gambit in here. In fact, some of them are even partners with us, and we give them highlights and shout outs every single episode. Today, we have Braxton Amundson with us today. And honestly, I'm super excited because we've already had him on the show. He's a repeat guest, but he is going to be telling us a little bit about his new project. So I'll do a little bit of an introduction here in a second. But before we do so, I wanted to give you guys a couple of announcements. Number one, Bizzler. Guys, Bizzler is happening August 15th through the 19th. Make sure you guys come with us. We have a solid group of people coming out, and we are super excited. It's gonna be some fun. And now, if this will be airing sometime in mid-July, so we're about a month out if you're listening to this now. And so make sure you guys get the link below. Click there. Make sure you guys sign up. Get there. If you guys want some more details, there's going to be also a video link below. You can click on that too. I don't want to get into too many details right now about that, but that's where you can get all your details. Number two, August 1st will be the release of our monthly newsletter. So make sure you guys sign up for that if you want to get more information. If you guys want to join the kind of the community that we have going on, we have a community called The Stable, which is where all the ponies live. You guys can get details about the show, background stuff, news and events, upcoming guests. You can keep track of your units. We have a trot setter where if you like, share, comments, leave reviews, buy our merch, you can actually go and earn yourself some units, YOUNITS units. And then every month we're going to be highlighting who has the most units. Sound familiar? But the newsletter is going to be called The Colt, COLT. So make sure you guys get signed up for that. You can get an email or a text. You don't have to, or neither. Whatever you choose is fine with us. Of course, big shout out to some of our friends here on the show, starting with Will Metscher. So what we're doing with some of our friends is they're giving us coaching tips or tips of the industry. So we'll start out with Will, who is in Southwestern Consulting. One of the tips that he's given us, he's tip of the month, tip of the week, is that we're really good at avoiding things that are hard if we're not intentional about seeing hard things as good and helpful. Doing one more rep and pushing yourself even 1% more every day prevents you from letting yourself off the hook of growth. Make that choice, and making that choice a habit makes it easier, and you end up overcoming your biggest challenges. So do that 1%, baby. Thank you, Will Metscher. Shout out to him. Love you, brother. Next up, we have Elevate Wellness. These guys are the ones that are helping us get in shape to Bizzler. So if you guys are listening to this mid-July, it's not too late to get into that 6-week shred that they have going on, a bunch of different programs as well. But if you ever have questions about fitness, if you're not sure about nutrition, or you're not happy with the body that you have, Seth and Zane at Elevate Wellness are the guys to go to. They've invested over $30,000 into resources and training to allow them to help you get the answers you want and the accountability you need. When a lot of people leave their fitness up to just the way things are, Seth and Zane help you identify the core principles of wellness and allow you to elevate your body, your mind, and your life. For pricing, we can get you in touch with either of them and get an initial consultation. Click on the link in the bio of our episode. And of course, last but not least, Cardinal Senior Benefits. Shout out from them. A bit of wisdom from Quintin Roberts from one of our Derby meetings, which, by the way, Nick has an awesome forum with all of our jockeys to share business and life tips. And this is what Quintin had to say on overcoming challenges. You can change your neurochemistry of your brain by reading somebody else's thoughts. So go read books. Shout out to The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. If we can use other people, more resilient people, to shape our thoughts, we'll become more resilient ourselves. So that's kind of cool. Make sure you guys go check out those Derby meetings. They're every other Friday. They're on our Facebook and on our LinkedIn. You can get more information there. Okay, now let me bring up our guest again. He's a repeat, which it's always exciting when we have repeat guests because that means that they had such a good time they had to come and join the show again and tell us a little bit more about what they're up to. I'm excited for this one because I think this is the first time that we've had a person who's in the film industry, or at least is involved in the film industry. So I'm super excited. But okay, so Braxton sold 3 summers. He sold 2012, 13, and 14. At one point, part of the TD organization, went to Penn State, and he's from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. He's a movie producer and author, of course, former bookman, and most notably now, actually, he's kind of become a bit of a celebrity, and he's just kind of crushing it all over. He's traveling all over the world and is recognized by people everywhere. So I feel like that's a cool way to be living as a movie producer and as an author. Most recently, today we're gonna talk a little bit about his latest project. It's a movie called Replica that's coming soon, starring Alexander Gray, Jeremy Luke, and Mickey Rourke, which is a pretty studly lineup. But without further ado, my man Braxton Amundson, here you go, buddy. Why are you Emperor Versace on your screen?
That's actually, man, this is actually a perfect segue to. We will start with my book that I will be writing. So I've already written one book. It's called "Let's Start a Cult: The Power of Radical Belief." You can get that on Amazon. I wrote about different cult-like experiences that I have. It's on my no, it's not. My OnlyFans is on my Instagram. That's a different story. I have an OnlyFans page.
Is that a story for another time?
That's a story for another time. You can follow me. You can follow me on OnlyFans for just $9.99. Oh my God! Sorry, man. I can't. Okay, so Emperor Versace.
I called you Brandon at the beginning, so it's okay that you were stumbling over words right now. It's all good.
It's all good. So Emperor Versace was a name that I got after I had the opportunity to dance on stage at Coachella. So I was nominated this past April as the best moment of Coachella when I made it on stage and I danced in front of 40,000 people at Dulab Stage. That video clip was viewed by over 4 million people. And I was wearing this crown, was given to me by my best friend in the world. Her name is Erin Tajo. She is former Miss Hong Kong. And we were at the festival together. And right before I went on, she blessed me with this crown. And next thing I knew, I was on stage in front of 40,000 people having the time of my life. And after that, backstage, someone came up to me and was like, the guy that designed the stage said, "I designed the stage. I watched the whole thing. And I just submitted you as best moment of Coachella 2022. It was amazing. Like, it was the most surreal moment of my entire life. And she's like, "You're just about to become an overnight celebrity. This is nuts." Yeah. So this crown I wear pretty much every day of my life. It means so much to me. And the next day I went back to Coachella. I was wearing a Versace shirt, and then I was wearing 2 different Louis Vuitton shoes. Those were there. I spent like an obnoxious amount of money on literally one Versace shirt and 2 different shoes. And we're going around, and I was wearing this crown, and someone's like, he's like, "Do you have a stage name yet?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "I'm going to call you Emperor Versace." I was like, I love that. I love that. So I am right now in the process of writing a new book. So recently I had a series of events happen that got me in a really tough financial spot. So I'm in the Airbnb world. In addition to this Louis Vuitton and Versace addiction, this fur coat addiction that I have, if you follow me on Instagram, you can see this like obnoxious fur coat that I wear everywhere. It cost me $4,000. It's amazing, but it was $4,000. And these Louis Vuitton shoes, it was $1,500 per pair. I wear one on one foot and one on the other foot, so that's $3,000. Then I have Versace. That wasn't the problem. The problem was my house got robbed. Someone broke into my house and stole everything that I own. And they stole over $8,000 worth of stuff in my house and also caused $6,000 worth of damages. So I was like, oh my God, this is basically taking every little bit of money that I have left to get it put back together. And insurance company is not cooperating. So going back to like the principles that I've learned from Southwestern, the principles that I've learned from all the different trainings that I've done, I can either be victim to my situation, or I can make the best out of it. And I said, look,
Dude.
I'm fucking Braxton. I'm Braxton Amundsen. I can do anything I want whenever I want. I have the power to just make this money tomorrow. So I was laying in bed. I was pretty depressed. And I wasn't depressed because my stuff got stolen. I was depressed because I felt so violated by someone entering my space. It was just this like feeling of like, of like my safety was like taken away from me.
Yeah,
And
it feels violating when someone robs you like that, for sure.
I felt so violated, and I was like depressed. I'm 8,000 miles away from home. I'm in Argentina right now, and this was just last week. And I'm like, man, like how do I know I'm the type of person that solves problems. That's I've learned that from Southwestern days. I've learned that from just being in business. Everything is neutral. Nothing is ever as good as it seems. Nothing is ever as bad as it seems. That was one of like the most foundational principles that I learned in Southwestern. And I'm like, it seems really, really bad, but it's not as bad. Nothing's ever as bad as it seems. So I said, look, I'm just going to go make this money back tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but tomorrow I'm going to replace all the money that I lost. I just told myself that. I made this commitment. And I'm like, laying in bed, rolling around thinking like, what can I do? And I'm like, you know what? People have been asking me for over a year to start a course teaching Airbnb. And I'm just going to post on Instagram that I'm starting an 8-week Zoom course, and I'm going to charge $2,000 for it. And if I get 5 or 6 people to sign up, that's going to replace all the money that was stolen. So posted on Instagram a quick poll: who would like to learn the Airbnb rental arbitrage business? 20 people. I'm interested. I followed up with them. The next day, signed up 5 people. So boom, just like that, 10 grand made right away. Literally from my bed. I was laying in bed. I was so depressed I couldn't get out of bed, but I made that $10,000 in one day. It's funny because when I was being recruited into Southwestern, I remember Dave Kleifkin was running the, what are they called? The info sessions. And he was like, how many people have made $10,000 in a day? Sitting in that chair, back then, I had just won $10,000 on The Price is Right. So I actually did raise my hand and I shared that story. So I actually did make $10,000 in a day a different time. And I raised my hand. I'm like, I actually have. And he's like, really? I'm like, I swear to God. He's like, you didn't. He's like, selling a car doesn't count. I'm like, no. I made $10,000 in a day. And I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was on a game show. I won 10 grand. It was amazing. And so I think about that. I'm like, I can make my belief barrier. I can make $10,000 in a day. And someone asked me the other day, hey, Braxton, how much money do you make? And I said, I get pissed when I make less than $5,000 a day. They're like, whoa, you make $5,000 a day? I said, no, I spend most of my days extremely pissed off. But it was a joke. But so anyway, I made that money back because I'm just like, I'm the type of person that, I'm hit with a problem and I can solve it immediately. So I'm going through this, creating content for branding my coaching business, teaching people Airbnb. And I was going out and I'm still trying to get some feelers. I'm still trying to fill some seats. And I go, you know what? I'm going to post some different marketing on Instagram. And I started sharing my story. My story was my progression over the past 12 months since I've gotten the Airbnb business. I think it's all related, but it's all different aspects of life. I'm in the best place in my life socially. Kind of like what Andre said, I'm an international celebrity at this point, which is like crazy. It's surreal to me. I cannot explain. I cannot explain now what the level of fame has become, but it's wild. Like a taxi cab pulled off on the side of the road and some girls got out of the cab and we were trying to get a new cab. Me and a couple of friends were running up. All 5 of the girls, they just mobbed me. They're grabbing my face. They're hugging me. And they're like, oh my God, it's you. I'm 8,000 miles away from home. I'm in a different country. I don't even speak Spanish. And they're like, can we get picture? Like, I'm like, yeah, of course. My friends are like, do you know them? I'm like, I've never seen them before in my entire life. They're gorgeous girls. Like, I would remember them if I would have met them before. But like it's been amazing. But I think it all starts with the choices that I've made over the past year by choosing to free myself from the daily grind. So I got in the Airbnb business just over a year ago, and I started from a $15,000 loan. I spent that money all on my furniture and my first month and last month's rent, and got this first property up. It was making about $2,000 a month, give or take. And then I was like, okay, I can't live off of just this money. I went and DoorDashed. I went and like downloaded DoorDash. I was working from 8 a.m. until 1 a.m. driving around on DoorDash. I got a letter at the end of April 2021. Congratulations, you were the highest paid DoorDash driver in the world, earning $12,000. You know, I got this little certificate. I got the same certificate in May. So I was two-time #1 DoorDash driver in the world, which is crazy.
That's wild.
8 a.m. until 1 a.m. Those are the hours that I was working. And I did that for 60 days straight. Took all of that money, invested it in 2 new properties, 2 new rental arbitrage properties, Airbnb. So at this point, I then had 3 properties. Was still doing DoorDash, still doing DoorDash for some extra money. But then I got a loan, so I got more property. 1 year later, I'm earning about $30,000 a month in passive income, managing my Airbnb business from my phone from anywhere in the world. It's such a dream come true because I have no tie downs to any location. So the progression has been cool. Free myself from the financial burden. Step 1. Step 2 was, as like that stress is being relieved, I start loving myself more. I start treating myself better. Step 2 was losing 35 pounds. And as I lost a bunch of weight, I started, getting more confident in myself. I started, believing in myself, going to festivals pretty much every week, meeting some really cool people. Then the moment happened where I am on stage in front of 40,000 people. Literally, I cannot explain it. I had complete control of the crowd. I was dancing, and every move that I made, the crowd was cheering. It was so like, I am like so like inspired by what I created. And
That's sweet.
I was like, man, I was backstage, and I was like literally like in a state of shock. I was with my friend Erin, Miss Hong Kong, and her husband Adam. We were laying on the couch, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're not allowed to just date any girl anymore." She's like, "You're too important." She's like, "You can only date people that are that are your level of superstars." And I was like,
that's wild.
I was like, holy shit. Like, I felt so amazing. And I remember thinking to myself, this feeling should not just be for me. This feeling should be for everyone in the world. Like, everyone in the world should feel like this. So I was thinking about this, I was marking this on Instagram with the intention of growing my business. And I decided that I'm going to write a new book called Finding Your Coachella. And everyone has like that moment that's like a dream come true. That's a dream that I didn't even know I had. I'm not an artist. Like, I haven't spent hours and hours of my life, singing or performing or, whatever. Like, I've never even had a dream of performing at Coachella. Like, that wasn't even a thing. But it was a dream come true that I never even knew I had. And it was the best feeling in the world. So, like, this Coachella moment happens. Then I go down to Argentina, and I'm now feeling like I'm the best dancer in the entire world because, I was, what do they call it? Socially proofed by, one of the most prestigious festivals in the world. So now I'm super confident down here dancing. I come down to Argentina not knowing a single person. The first night out in the dance club, 55 people came up to me and said, introduced themselves to me. They exchanged Instagram information with me. First night, 55 people. Second night, another 35 people. All these people are messaging me now every single day. I have over 550 Instagram followers just from Argentina in the 4 weeks that I've been here. So when I go out to the clubs, people that I've never met before are like, wow, I've seen you shared all over Instagram here. I can't believe like I got a chance to, to meet you. Like, I've heard so much about you. I've seen your videos by other people that are shared. And so like, I literally have become an Argentinian celebrity. The clubs will let me in for free. They'll let me drink for free and all this stuff. And they'll use me to promote their upcoming artists. They're like, special invite to Emperor Versace will be in attendance, and like they'll share pictures of me when I'm going to their club. It's crazy.
That's wild,
But
dude.
yeah, so like I'm really excited because I want, again, like this is something that I have accomplished, but this isn't about me. This is about inspiring it in others. You know, I really believe like if everyone found their Coachella, we would have a happier world. You know, we wouldn't, you know, the reason why we have problems, reason why we have hate, the reason why we have racism, the reason why we have, you know, separation, the reason why people cheat on their spouses is because they're not happy deep down. They're not being pleased deep down. You know, I was in the club, and like these girls came up to me and they showed me their wedding ring, and they're like, you know, for you, we'll be cheaters. And I'm like, I don't do that. You know, I'm sorry. I don't do
What
that.
the
Like
fuck?
I'm all about positive energy. I'm all about like sending, you know, positive vibes through my actions. And, you know, was it tempting? Of course it was. You know, you know, David and Bathsheba, you know, existed for a reason. But bottom line, the reason why people do the things they do is because they're not happy in their heart. And my intention with writing my new book is to you know, find that peace so that people are exuding love, so that people are being kind to each other. And that is my sole intention for, you know, even the book that I'm doing, and also like the film that I'm doing,
Yeah.
Replica, which you know, I talked to you about. I have a lot of empathy for the trans community. I lived in Colombia. My neighbor was a trans woman, and you know, this project, I watched it and I was like, man, like if only people knew some of the pain and struggles that other people were going through, they wouldn't treat them the way they do. And the unfortunate truth is, the trans community, they're either like completely dismissed by society, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with this person, or they're like some kind of like unicorn, and they're treated like they're some kind of like object, right? They're some kind of freak. And at
Mm.
bottom line, they're very, very extremely kind and genuine people, mostly because they're treated so badly by society that they don't want anyone to treat them like that ever again. So I got into the film Replica because I have a soft spot for all people, really. But I was actually in Colombia, and I was having um, a really tough night. Like I thought I was going to die. I'm trying to think. I don't want to go to
You thought you were gonna die?
just die. And can you hear me?
Oh, you bleeped out for a second. I just heard. I thought you were gonna
What
die.
happened? I can't hear you now.
Oh, wait. I can hear you. I can hear you still. You wanna?
Wait.
You wanna do a reset really quick? Dip out and come back in.
Should I go out and come back in, and can you like edit
Yeah.
this? Okay, cool. 1 second.
Yeah. That's fine. In the meantime, we're gonna do a quick shout out to another sponsor. So, what this is what happens when we do international episodes. Sometimes this tends to happen, so no big deal. I want to get a quick shout out in here from Pat Roach in Southwestern Real Estate. Free money advice from Patrick Roach, and then we can get back into the film. So. This is from Southwestern Real Estate, and here is some free advice from Patrick. If you're struggling year after year to put away a lot of money into retirement, you got to make ambitious goals to earn and put away all the money you can into the retirement in your first quarter of the year. When you motivate yourself and put yourself in a position to earn all your retirement money in the first quarter, you'll find yourself avoiding a lot of complacency you may have once have had. So that said, we can get you in touch with Pat to learn more about some financial freedom and becoming a real estate agent. Now, my homeboy's back. Emperor Versace has returned. What up, Braxton? Boom.
All
Let
right.
me
So,
have you.
sorry. Yeah. Can we edit that? Can that be like edit it
It's
out?
fine. Well, I mean, whenever that happens, we
Okay.
just like keep rolling in it. People
Okay.
are used to because we do European guests sometimes and they blipped out, and so it's fine.
Okay.
But hold on,
Cool. I'm
let
back.
me rewind it. Let me rewind back to what you were saying. So uh you were mentioning the trans community. You
Yeah.
had a
I
bit of a
thought I
soft
was gonna.
spot. You
I
were in
was in my
Colombia
apartment. I made
and you
some
were gonna
choices
die.
that I made some choices where I thought I was gonna die. I won't go into detail about what those choices were, but I was like,
Story
man,
for
like,
another
and
time.
I start banging on the wall. I'm like, hey, it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, get over here. Like, I'm going to die. And then my neighbor, she's super cool. She's a trans woman. She's super, super duper cool. I'm like banging on the door. I'm like, get over here, get over here. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, I need you to sit in this room and just make sure I don't die. Like, I'm like, and she's like, okay.
Fuck.
The woman's like cleaning my house. She's doing my laundry. She's like the kindest person I've ever met. And, bottom line, I'm obviously didn't die, but, the next day, like I had some friends come over and they were talking about her. Like I said, like she was some kind of like freak. And I'm like, she's a person. She was just over here a minute ago. She was super kind to everyone. Like, why are you talking about them like this? That's not cool. And anyway, a couple months later, Replica falls onto my plate, and I watched the movie. It was executive producer, the lead executive producer is a really good friend of mine. He brings over Replica, and it shows like some of the pain and frustration that the trans community goes through, like in the film. The Alexandra Gray is the lead actress, and she's a trans woman, and it shows like the struggles that they have. And I was like, man, this is going to be a really good movie for, number one, it's a great entertaining film. I just can't wait for people to watch it. But number two, I'm like, what's it going to do for the world when people start understanding these struggles, these challenges, and all this stuff. And I was like, I really like it because it's not like hey, I'm pushing an ideology down your throat and making you accept it. And, it has, a lot of examples here, but it's not like overly preachy. And I watched this and I was like, man, like this is a good film. Like Mickey Rourke, who hasn't seen The Wrestler? Like who our age hasn't seen The Wrestler? I was also a big fan of Barfly. Barfly was a great film. Sin City was a great film. I'm like, man, it's got Mickey Rourke in it. So my friends were like, we have a really good film on our plate, but the number one goal now is to make sure that it gets into the right hands. They're like, how can we get this in the right hands? And my friend goes, I know, Braxton. Like, we'll reach out to Braxton. He has network. He has networking with people. He has connections to people. They're like, we're going to make him an executive producer. So I got brought in as an executive producer on the film, with the intention of getting this movie into the hands of the right people. So we're going to be, we're going to be airing our film in Chelsea Film Festival.
That's big. I looked
do you
that
know
up
Chelsea?
after you told me.
Yeah.
I looked it up after last time in New York, right? And you told me about this.
Yep.
I was like, damn, that's a big deal.
Yep, we're airing in Chelsea Film Festival. So we're everyone that's like in the project is like, hey, obviously, do we want to return on the investment? Yeah, of course. Do we want to make money on the film? Of course we do. That's why people are in business, because they want to make money. But
Right.
we also want this movie to impact many lives and to open people's eyes to, what other people are going through. I personally love some of the music that's in the movie. I'm genuinely excited about. One of my favorite artists, a guy named Leo Zia, Leoxia, Lowhi, Lowhi is his stage name. He's got this song Angels, and man, I watched him perform it. He's a good friend of mine. I watched him perform it 2 weeks ago live, and I was crying the whole time. I'm like, this song is so powerful. And I think that, like, as I've grown in business, because back in my early days, when I first left Southwestern, I started doing the book buying thing. I didn't care about making a difference in the world. I really didn't. I cared about making money for myself. And I think that that's why, some of the, I think that's why my early 20s were so hard, because I was chasing something that I thought was going to bring me happiness that really wasn't. And when I was 26, 27 years old, I had plenty of money. I owned 3 houses. I was making, decent cash, living in a city, and I was overweight and not happy. The more stressed out I was, the more I ate. I stress ate. I was disgusting, and I ended up going out and doing MITT out in California, and it opened my eyes to so many things. And I was like, man, not only do I make more money when I care about making a difference with people, that's the irony of it.
Ironic.
It's like,
yeah.
wow, I don't care. I don't care about making money as much as I did, but I'm actually making more money. But I'm also 10 times happier because I'm committed to making a difference with people. I'm committed to treating people well. I'm committed to, uh, you know, opening up opportunities for other people. So
Dude.
that that has been like the progression the past 3 or 4 years for me.
Dude, that's so. I have so many questions, but that's so cool. First of all, I'm glad that you shared about both your new book, and I'll get into some of that as well. But I have some questions about the film. Man, this is why I love this show, because I just listen and then I'm like, I'm so curious. There's so many things I want to know. Um, so first of all, congratulations. That's a milestone to have reached in your life, either personally, even within yourself, to understand yourself enough to know what your passions are in life, and to kind of have a sense of direction, even though life is twisty and turny. You just said it earlier, like in your 20s you had no idea what the heck you were doing. You were just trying to make money, and like it was all that you cared about. Now, with the transformation, the way you're talking about what your experience in Argentina, your compassion for the people who are suffering in the world, I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, that you have found something that most people don't find, which is like a reason to improve yourself and to change the world as you want to influence it, as much as you want to influence it, just by sharing compassion and love. And that's pretty cool. um on that question though, so I guess maybe let's, for people listening, let's can we share a little bit about what the film is about, and then
Yeah,
like what, and then the next question follow up to that is, so what's, so I've seen, I don't know if I'm allowed to say what you have shared with me.
you can. Yeah, you
As to
can.
what
Yeah, you can.
I've seen the trailer. The trailer, it looks phenomenal. Like it's a full blown production. It's not like one of those, like, at home films. This is like a legit project that you're working on. So just for people to understand what the film is about, and then if you can share after that, what have you learned about the film industry, good, bad, and ugly, as an EP of a major project?
Yeah, so the movie is amazing. It's about the main character, Jeremy Luke, is a tweaker, drug addict slash drug dealer that falls prey to a group of drug dealers after he loses the drugs that were fronted to him. So he has some he's a meth is the drug that he's dealing. He has some meth that's fronted to him, and in the drug world, you either need to remit the money that you owe them, or remit the same amount of drugs. And Mickey Rourke is the main antagonist, and he's like, "Where's the money? Where's the drugs?" He's like, "I'm working on a deal right now." And long story short, he falls prey to the bad guys because he loses the money that was fronted to him. And when you're in the bad guy world, like, they'll kill you. you know,
Yeah.
there's a quote: "If you don't have the
They don't.
money, they're gonna cut your fucking balls off, brother." Uh,
That's right.
so he falls prey to them, while also bumps into Alexandra Gray, who's the main female lead. Falls in love with her. Turns out she's a trans woman. He doesn't know that she's a trans woman until after he's in love with her. So the movie is about him breaking through his beliefs about himself and his beliefs about you know trans woman, so that he can fall in love and receive love. So it shows like her pain of rejection. The only reason why she's rejected isn't because of anything about her. She's rejected because she can't be accepted by someone who has beliefs about himself. And it's a really amazing movie of redemption. So the movie is about Jeremy Luke basically redeeming himself from his hateful past, redeeming himself from the life choices that he's made, so that he can find love and so that he can do something unconditionally for someone else. And the movie is also about her fighting through the challenges and the frustrations, and it shows like flashback clips of her with her father, who is an amazing human being. You can just tell like that man loved his daughter, son, as he progressed to she. You can just tell that how much the father had love for his child. And like just looking at that, it's like, man, that's the way parents should love their children, unconditionally, no matter how they are, no matter how they show up. Because really, we as children, all we want to do is make our parents proud. all we want to do is, like I think about like my mom, for example. When I was first doing Southwestern, when I was first doing like the book buying thing, I have a degree from Penn State University for industrial engineering. I haven't worked one day as an industrial engineer, and industrial engineers make pretty good money, right?
Right.
So long, my mom's like, "Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that?" And I'm sure many book people can kind of relate with that of you know people questioning their career choices. And really all I want is for my mom to be proud of me, right? My dad's always been proud of
Mm.
me. My dad's always been like, yeah, Braxton's got a good head on his shoulders. But my mom's like, oh, you're traveling around the world. I get nervous when you're traveling constantly. I get your income is never stable. It's this much this month, this much this month. And um we're all working on finding our parents' love and approval. And unfortunately, um, when when parents are conditional on their love, and my mom is amazing. I'm not throwing any jabs at her. I have the best mom in the entire world. Her birthday's today. Happy birthday, mom. I've literally the most amazing mother in the entire world. But I say this because, like, as a child, um, I want my mom to know deep down that she did a good job. And, um, you know, that
Yeah.
is like my relationship with my parents is with the intention of knowing, like, hey, no matter how, what I like to do for fun or who I like to hang out with, you have a good child. And like the unfortunate truth that, like, with the trans community, 40%, I think it's 40% attempt suicide at one time in their life. And
Yeah.
I don't know the actual facts or statistics about it, but I'd be willing to bet that a lot of that is because their parents aren't willing to accept them. And you can just see in the movie that this father was so loving and just cared so much. You can just see so many scenes, and, like, I look at that and, like, it's hard enough to live my life differently, right? Like, I live a very different lifestyle. I'm a straight heterosexual white guy, and people still question my life choices. Like, I live a very different lifestyle that's unfamiliar, and my progression was a lot of times going, hey, guess what? I'm never going to be one of the guys. I'm never going to fit in. I'm always going to be extra. I'm always going to be whatever, and that's okay, right? And I wear a gold crown. I wear clothes. Like, I started seeing this girl recently. I was telling you on the phone the other day.
Oh yeah.
I started seeing this girl recently, and we were on our third date. Like, we've already hooked up. We've already, like, gone out a couple times, and we're in the middle of our third date. And she goes, "Can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Please don't be offended." I was like, "Okay." She goes, "Do you like men and women?" And I was like,
Oh.
"What?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, the first time I met you, I thought you were gay." I was like, "What?" So, like, I thought this was funny because
That's
we hooked up. Like, I pursued her. We hooked up. We made out. It wasn't enough for her to go, "Oh, I guess he's straight." She goes, "He must be bi." Like, I thought that was so funny. Um,
it's
but
it's it's interesting because you never know. That's a fair question nowadays, especially. I mean, I live in Portland, and it's like it's so common around here to be like, "Hey, what's your orientation?" Because it's like, or like, what are you
yeah,
into? Because it's random. But I understand what you're saying. You're like, wait, this would make sense that you put two and two together because we're this far into it. But it's just like, what? No offense taken.
I was like, I no, I wasn't offended at all. I'm just like, I'm just an expressive guy, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I really don't think, like, I have, like, necessarily gay vibes. Like, I'm just a very expressive guy, and I think a lot of the stuff that I work with people on, I actually, my friend Adam, he was one of the people that was with me when I was at Coachella. His wife Erin and I have become very, very close, and I met her months before I met him, and he sent me a message this past weekend. He's like, man, I really, like, I'm so glad that, like, we became friends. He's like, you've helped, like, heal my relationship. You've helped, like, he's like, you're like the guy on the side that actually makes my relationship better with my wife. I was like, that's funny. But it was funny. But he's like, you've just like helped make my life better. And I'm like, yeah, like the bottom line is like so many men out there, they just don't know how to express themselves, or they're afraid to express themselves, or, and like when I first started dancing, and like now, like I'm so confident in dancing, like I have a blast on the dance floor. But when I first started dancing, like I wasn't as smooth as I was, and I'm like, look, I don't really care what people think about me. I had that. I left my cool card with Dan Moore back on day one of Southwestern, and I never got it. I never got it back. They never gave my cool card back to me. Was I supposed to pick it up at like checkout or something? Or maybe like I never got it back.
Some
And
people pick it back up after the summer. Yeah.
yeah, I missed the part where they're supposed to give it back to me. Maybe I was so off schedule I wasn't paying attention, but
That's
but
wild, dude.
I'm like, I don't care what people think about me. So like I'm dancing and whatever, and I'm at an Millennium Festival back in December, and I'm dancing and people are recording me, and I just think they're making fun of me. Like I don't think that I'm actually a good dancer. I think that they're just recording me because they're making fun of me, and I'm like, quite honestly, I don't care. And like every time I'm dancing, like there's 5 or 6 cameras on me recording, and my friend AJ's like, dude, they love you, and I'm like, no, they're just making fun of me. And he's like, what are they going to do? Go to their friends and go, look at this guy having a good time? Like, he's like, they're not making fun of you. There's nothing really to make fun of. He's like, even if you don't look like, amazing, you're having a blast, which is why people love you. And I thought about that for like a long time. And I was like, maybe I'm actually a pretty good dancer. And the bottom line is, I don't care what other people think about me. I posted on Instagram the other day. People were like, did you really just write that? I'm like, Braxton Amundsen doesn't do what Braxton Amundsen does for Braxton Amundsen. Braxton Amundsen does what Braxton Amundsen does because Braxton Amundsen is Braxton Amundsen. But I was like, no,
reference.
Right. It's actually a quote from South Park. It was James Cameron that said that. And I was like, I'm taking this for myself too. But I was like, I thought about this and I'm like, I don't really care about the validation or approval of others. I don't really care about how accepted I am or how not accepted I am. What I care about is that I'm happy and that my mere existence is making other people, the people around me.
Oh, might have cut out one more time. That's all right. Happens. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, good. It must have been just.
I've learned this. I've learned this in life. When I don't care about the approval of others, is when I get the approval of others. When I don't care about a result, is when I get the result. When I don't care about how much money I make, is when I make a lot of money. And it's so funny. It's about like living life unattached. And when I'm unattached to the result, is when I get the result.
That's right there. That's a mic drop. It's just a pursuit of yourself, right? It's a pursuit of just do what you desire, and as long as it's in the intention of helping others and loving people, it works out. It works out well. That's awesome, dude. That's so cool. Now that's interesting because that's not how the film industry is. Like when you think of like films like Hollywood and stuff like that, especially because the in the movie it's based in LA, right? So like when you think of LA and people who are like in TV and film, it's such a vicious industry. What have you learned and how have you like maintain your sanity through like working with this whole entire type of environment, I guess?
I feel like I need to roll my sleeves up for this one. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, this because this is the struggle and frustration. This is the struggle and frustration that I'm literally rolling my sleeves up right now. If you're only listening to this audio, this is the struggle and frustration that I see in the world, because it's like this. It's spiritual warfare out there, and you have, on one hand, you have someone whose sole intention is to do good in the world, and usually their product is substantially better than the other one. but they're not willing to sell out to corporate money. They're not willing to sell out to, their morals and their values to get there. Then you have the person that sold their soul to the devil, right? They're good but not great, and they're willing to get their hands dirty. You see this happening in politics. You see this happening basically, like if someone is like at a certain level of politics, they basically had to have sold their soul out, and sold their morals out to receive some type of corporate resources to get to the level that they've gotten to. Like that's just the unfortunate truth that we're in. So that's no differently like in the film world, and it's portrayed in a lot of different things where it's portrayed kind of like as a joke in some movies where people sell out their values. You look at like Harvey Weinstein as an example, where hey, if you do this for me, this disgusting act for me, I will give you your shot at fame. And that's like the unfortunate truth of big corporate money. And there's loads of it in Hollywood. There's a project that I'm working on right now in the NFT space called Next Hollywood, where it's using the NFT technology for people to post their projects on, and it's giving power to the viewers of which projects get made. Hey, there's this project here written by this person, this project by here. You can go on the site and you can buy the NFTs.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. You can go on the site, you can buy the NFTs for the films that you want to have made, and basically the viewers are deciding what projects are made, not some dirty corporate
Yeah.
director. So
Was it
that is, yeah, go ahead.
Mila Kunis? Isn't Mila Kunis working on something like this, where it's like she's got like a project or a TV show that she's making or producing, and like the fans are the ones that like essentially like own part of it because they buy the NFT
Yeah,
for it, and then that it's something I don't know. That's what hit my mind. That's brilliant. That's really smart. Sorry,
yeah,
I interrupted
that's
you, but I'm just like, oh,
no, you're good.
that's
That is the problem right now in the not just in the film industry. The film industry is where it's disgustingly more like apparent, but it's in film, it's in politics, it's in business. It's so many times where there's these attachments to the resources. Hey, I have the resources, I have the key to your future, but you need to sell out your morals and values to receive this key. And it's horrible. It's a horrifying idea. And man, and how many people take the bait? How many people?
yeah, dude.
Billie Eilish performed at Coachella at a different stage the exact time that I was dancing on stage at Coachella, and my friend is like, that is so. I don't know if you listen to any of Billie Eilish's music. She's amazing, but she has little lyrics. She's like, I sold my soul out. I didn't know why. I didn't know why. I didn't know how. I didn't know I was doing it then, but I sold my soul. That's a lyric from her one of her songs. And my friend Erin was like, this is spiritual warfare. She's like, you are embodying angelic joy at the same time, where literally Billie Eilish's set was so dark. I was there for 3 minutes at the second weekend of Coachella. I went to go see her perform. I left after 3 minutes because I was horrified by like the demonic presentation that her set came out with. And the unfortunate truth is negative energy sells. People relate and connect with your victim story. They relate and connect with all of this. And the unfortunate truth is you're either giving people resources to validate their own victim story, or you're giving them support for them to break through their victim story so that they can have a better life. And the unfortunate truth is it's easier to just let them validate their victim story and let them feel slightly good about themselves than it is about working through some problems so that people can have a better life. The reason why people are, young girls are killing themselves right now is they're looking up to someone like Billie Eilish that's putting out such a horrifying message to young girls. And that's, I actually really like Billie Eilish's music. I really do. I think she has some really good songs. I think she has an amazing voice, but what I saw at Coachella was terrible. It was horrifying. It looked cool.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like it looked cool. Like, looking at it, I was like, wow, that's they must have spent a lot of money on this, like, demonic production, but it was demonic. She came out wearing a demon shirt. There was demons all over the place. And the world is spiritual warfare. And the unfortunate truth is the easiest way is to join the demonic energy than it is to break through it and take the path of, take the road less traveled by.
That's an interesting. Uh, not enough people talk about that, where it's like positive energy versus negative energy. Like a lot of what's that song called? Dave Matthews. Dave Matthews' song called "Funny the Way It Is," when he talks about someone's broken heart becomes your favorite song, and how there's two sides, right? There's someone's child, a soldier's dying, but his baby's being born. There's like this juxtaposition of like good energy and bad energy, and really they both sell, but it's just kind of how much people tend to attach themselves to either idea. And it's actually kind of sad when you really notice somebody who um is being attached to the negatives. They just get, it's kind of the same idea of like when we're depressed, we listen to sad songs, and it's like, hey, that's okay because you need to feel your feelings. Totally cool. But at some point, you have to be like, hey, like like you said, nothing's as bad as it seems, and it's gonna be okay. And then choose to attach yourself to some of the positives. And even though it's hard and it's difficult, I'm not trying to say, yeah, it's just as simple as that. It's not simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. But there is such a thing as like choosing to hold on to something, to hope, to love, to faith, right? To empathy. I don't know. It's a hard battle. It's a spiritual war, as you're calling it, but it's hard. It's hard for everybody, man. That's difficult.
Yeah, and for me, like I'm literally just constantly checking in. I'm constantly in the position where I'm like, what energy is being, am I being put out? And granted, like I I I am not perfect. I'm not even gonna pretend to try to be perfect. I have, like, yeah, whatever, right? Like I'm farthest thing from perfect. I do have this little like dark side in me where I'm like, I need to go on the uncensored page and do uncensored page stuff, Um, but yeah, I'm like,
Whoa.
I'm not perfect. I have an OnlyFans page. Follow my OnlyFans for only $9.99. Braxton OnlyFans.com/Braxton OnlyFans. Um,
There
but
you go. That's it.
um, selfless plug. I'm not perfect, but like again, like I I I always try to think about like, are my decisions benefiting and impacting the entire world? And like I think about it like that. And like when I have that in mind, I always feel like I'm guided in a way where uh in a way where I'm better than my mom is like, you always land on your feet. I'm like, I land on my feet because I know how to redirect. I'm not a lucky person. Like it's not like I just had luck on my side, left, right, and sideways. Like I was telling Andres, did we talk about my house getting broken into on air, or was that off air?
It was on air. Yeah, actually both. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, like
Yeah,
that
we were
wasn't
talking for a
lucky.
while before we got on the air.
Yeah.
So for people confused, it's like, yeah, we talked for a little bit before we
Yeah.
started recording.
So like
Yeah.
I solved that I solved that problem not because I'm lucky. That was not lucky, right? I didn't make that 10,000. Oh yeah, we did talk about this on air. I didn't make that $10,000 back because I'm lucky. I made it because I am willing to take an obstacle and turn it into an opportunity. And I was with a friend down here in Argentina, and she speaks really good English. I love hanging out with her because she speaks, great English. So it's like I have, someone I can talk to like in depth about stuff, because like a lot of times one of the problems I have in Argentina is I can communicate in basic level Spanish, but like I desire in-depth conversations, and that's something that I'm missing communicating in a second language. So this girl, I can actually she speaks really good English, so I can actually have that really like in-depth. And she was like, I was telling my mom about this. She's like, I was with this guy, and he basically had his house robbed, and the night that it happened, he goes, oh, leaders see obstacles as opportunities, and life throws me challenges only when I'm strong enough to face them. And breaking through these challenges is the real gift of what's happening. So life was actually giving me a very good gift and an opportunity that I can overcome. And I'm like, tomorrow I'm just going to make all this money back. And she goes, I told my mom that he said that. And the next day he did. He made it all back the next day. And it's not about the money that I made, but it's about the person that I became in the process. Right. It's about,
Right.
what I was able to break through. And, like, like I'm very proud of myself for not being by not being burdened by a life circumstance and having the awareness, the courage, and the power to overcome something like that. And guess what? Like my coaching business on Zoom is probably $1 million business. This isn't going to be the only time I do this course. I'll probably do it once every 2 months. And, what if I have $20,000 every 2 months just from a coaching business that started because my house got broken into? My house got broken into. I lost $15,000. And because I lost $15,000, I'm now making an extra $20,000 every 2 months. Is that a good trade-off? I think that's a great trade-off. But I wouldn't have even started that business if I didn't, if this life circumstance didn't happen. So was I really a victim of life, or was life giving me, a little opportunity? So that's something that I think I really want people to start understanding, is that everything in life is a blessing and a gift. This is a quote from my first book. This is actually crazy, Andres. I was in the middle of writing my first book. This is an insane story. The series of progressions in the story is wild. I was in the middle of writing my first book, and I would stay up super late at night, and I would just type away, and I was perfecting my book. And I'll write sometimes, and when I want to make a point, I'll put it in bold. I'll put a sentence in bold in the middle of the page. And I just wrote this right before I went to bed. And it said, everything in life is both a blessing and a gift. Sometimes the greatest gifts in life are the hardest ones for us to receive, as they often come buried under the deepest amounts of pain. So I wrote that, and I was going to bed. I went to sleep on the couch. I was so tired. It was 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'll go to bed right away. And I just fell asleep on the couch. And I woke up at 6:00 in the morning. My phone's ringing, my phone's ringing, my phone's ringing, my phone's ringing. It's ringing, they're hanging up, and it's ringing. And I'm like, it's 6:00 in the morning, I'm not answering. And it rang probably 6, 7 times. And I look at the phone, it's my dad calling me. And I pick up the phone, and I'm like, hello? And he goes, I don't know how to tell you this, Braxton, but your sister-in-law just killed herself this morning. And I was like, wow. I was complete shock. Literally, I cannot describe the feeling, but it was like my entire life was just taken away from me, and tears just start pouring down my face. And I was like, whoa, what just happened? He's like, we're on our way to Florida. We're going to go be with your brother. We'd really like it if you came too. And I'm just completely shell-shocked. And I put down the phone, and I look up on my computer, and in bold on the screen, it says, everything in life is both a blessing and a gift. Sometimes the greatest gifts in life are the hardest ones for us to receive, as they often come buried in the deepest amounts of pain. So I was actually in the process a couple days before she passed away. I was actually supposed to lead my first MITT training. So I'd been coaching MITT as a group leader for years. This was my first opportunity to actually lead an entire training and have an entire training that I was supposed to take through basic, advanced, and leadership, as the sole captain of the team. I was really excited about it. And I'm like, I got to go to Florida. I got to go be with my brother. MITT's calling me, and they're saying, do you still want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, we can replace you. It's fine. We can replace you. We understand, emergencies happen. And I said, look, I'm going to do this. I'm still going to do this, because if I choose to give up today, then I'm actually giving power to the same reasons that she died. And I'm like, I'm going to show up. And they're like, okay, we would love to have you. And there was this little ceremony on the beach that they have every the day before the training. They have this little event on the beach called Miracle Tuesday. And it's a different event every time. And that's where they welcome in the captain, they welcome in the new coaches to the event. And they're putting on this little ceremony, and they're like, we actually want to hear from the captain of the training. And keep in mind, this is 3 days after I had my entire heart broken into a million pieces. We want to hear from, and no one there really even knew this. It was new information. It's not anyone knew anything. They're like, we're going to bring Braxton in. And they're like, we want to hear some words from you as the captain of the team. Like, you know, everyone there has like a best friend, a brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, a mom or dad, someone in the training that they love deeply, right? And so these trainings, they make such a big impact on people's lives that, you know, they're so near and dear to them. Like, we want to hear from Braxton about, you know, about what's going to go on at the training. I grabbed the mic and I was like, look, I really don't know how to say this, but I really just don't want to be here right now. I'm like, I just had a tragedy happen in my life. And tomorrow when the training opens, I'm not going to want to be there either, which is probably not like the most reassuring thing to hear from the captain of the training that your loved ones are in. But I'm just being completely honest with you right now. I was like, but I'll tell you one thing. Your loved ones are very blessed to have a captain that does not feel like being their captain, that does not want to be their captain, and is wholeheartedly and unconditionally committed to giving anyway. And at that point, I fell to my knees and I said, I need my coaches to join me here because I really can't say much more. And they came in and there was this moment where they're like, close your eyes, stand in a circle, and we're going to whisper some stuff. And, you know, and we're going to have like the people from the community whisper stuff in your ears. This girl whispers in my ear. She's like, everything you said just touched my heart so much. Like, I believe that love is possible again. And she's like, I know your eyes are closed. I know you can't see me, but I'll make sure that I find you again. Found that girl a couple days later, ended up dating her for a year. You know, it was amazing. And a couple weeks ago when I saw my favorite song is it's called Angels by this guy named Lohi. I was talking about him in the beginning of the show. Leo Zia Lohi. He sings this amazing song called Angels. And I went and watched him perform. I love him so much. He's a great artist. We were backstage, you know, hanging out after he performed, and someone was like, how did you come up with this song? And he goes, well, I was on the beach a couple years ago, and I heard this man speak in front of a crowd. And he was talking about how he had some tragedy go on, but he was like so wholeheartedly committed to pushing forward anyway. And he's like, I looked at that guy and I was like, that man is an angel. And I looked at him and I said, do you realize that was me? And he like turns his head. He was like, what the fuck?
No way.
I was like, dude, I was the guy.
That was, you saw this.
I was like, I was the guy. I was like, I would tell you what I said. And I repeated. He's like, that is exactly what you said. I was like, yeah. I was like everyone like looked at like, what just happened? And I didn't know that I didn't know that until that moment either. Like, it was my favorite song for a while before that. And I realized, you know, going back to like this whole ideology that everything in life is a blessing and a gift. My sister-in-law passing away, as unfortunate and as tragic as it is, it opened my heart to so much more empathy. And she has left with me a gift that I'm committed to sharing with the world. And by understanding other people, by giving my heart to other people, by just being so committed that every single person knows that they matter in every single moment. And while it was a tragedy, it was also a really great blessing to be able to be with people in a way where I can be 100% authentic and focused on them, knowing the difference and the value that people have by being connected in that way.
Dude.
Not bad for a mere
2,000
not bad for a mere 2,000 unit producer.
Yeah, not bad for a loser in Southwestern. God damn. Hey, dude, I think that this is much deeper than some of the conversations, and it's nice to have some deeper conversations and some different conversations here. But the approach you're bringing into this is so much more universal, right? So about just even the fact that you woke up and your computer had that quote, like it's you talking to your future self, and then you wake up and it's like, oh, now I need to hear this from me.
Yeah, it's like I thought I wrote that for other people. Like I wrote it for myself. And No, it's crazy. Like I believe like magic is available every single day. It's available and like one of the quotes from my first book says, "While you were too busy trying to pay your rent, you missed the opportunity to buy the entire house."
That's
Like
right.
I was too busy trying to make $1,000 that I missed the opportunity to make $300,000 or $1,000,000 or whatever, and that's like to me that's what business is about. Business is about being completely present with people, having relationships because you can like I learned in life I can make so much as the driving force of my business. Like if I'm the person going out and making all the sales, I'm capped because I'm one person. I have the ability to talk to so many people, and I am capped at how many people I'm able to talk to a day. So, um, what's not capped is my ability to inspire other people to do the same. My ability to teach other people to do what I'm doing and to grow that way. Just like going back to like Southwestern is going out and selling books yourself. You're pretty much capped at 20,000 units, or I think whatever Dustin Hillis did. Um,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
it's
you
actually
can
now
go
30, but yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean.
30,000 units.
Yeah, Peter Petkov broke it last summer. Still, it's
No
not.
way. Good
Yeah,
for
crazy.
him. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's impressive. I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
you're
And
capped
for
at say the cap, the maximum amount of money that you can make in one summer as a sole dealer is say $200,000.
yeah.
One unit is eight profit $240,000. There we go. So your cap limit is about $240,000. That's
Yeah.
what the new Southwestern record is.
And that's
So
if you're
you can get,
cranking. That's you got to be the best of all time. That's
and
like
that's if you're
top, top, top.
that's if you're the goat. So for there is no real cap on what you can do as a team leader. Like if you're going out and selling 6, 7, 8,000 units yourself, and you have you know 10 people on your team, five of which have another 3 or 4 people under all of them, you're making 300-400 grand.
Hmm.
Pretty easily if everyone's doing well. So really, the whole purpose of life isn't just to do really good yourself. I actually had a guy from a solar company reach out to me earlier today, and I said, and he was like, "You're a leader." He's like, "You're someone that I think can really build a really great, solar organization." I said, "Look, I'm not going down the road again. I used to do the insurance business where I just recruited a bunch of people into it, got myself licensed, didn't sell a single policy, and basically collected money every month. I'm not doing that again. That was a headache. People are like, "What's Braxton doing? Why is Braxton just collecting money?" I'm like, "I'm not doing that again. I am going to go out first and show them that I am the superstar, and that when I show that I'm the superstar, people don't care that I'm not working, right? If I'm like, look, I'm the guy that paved the way and sold 25 solar deals in a month, and I'll teach you to do that. Like they don't care that I'm not working, because I'm giving them the direction. But when people are like, well, Braxton never sold a single insurance policy in his entire life.
Yeah.
What so I was like, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, but I'm not interested. Let me go out and see what I can do to sell myself. And once I become the superstar in your business, then I'll be very comfortable recruiting people into the industry, and they'll have, my absolute respect. We ran into that in the book buying business where, people were like, said the guy that never sold, a lot of the people that were in the higher ups, they never actually went out and bought books themselves. And I realized I didn't actually have like the issues with upper management not having sold books before or bought books before because um, they were still giving, in what I believed at the time to be, valuable, knowledge of the business. But there was a lot of people that were like, oh, all these people that are making all this money off never bought books before. But I actually now realize where their frustration is coming from. Their frustration is coming from they don't know specifically this daily grind. They don't know what the day-to-day grind, the day-to-day tasks that are, that we're facing are through, and therefore cannot empathize with our situation. And that is what I was dealing with when I was leading people into doing something that I wasn't doing themselves. The student manager creed, and I don't know if this is a TD thing or if this is an all Southwestern thing, but
Yeah.
one of
We
the
all did it. Yeah.
principles, it was an all Southwestern thing, is I think it was, I will never ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. and that's leadership. That's like what I was doing was I was asking people to do something that I wasn't willing to do, and that's not leadership.
Dude, it's funny how it just kind of trickles into your life, the things you learn. Even like, look, I sold 4,000 units and then 3,500 and then like 700. So I wasn't exactly making
700. I didn't know
I was
that.
I think I don't even know how low it was. It might be even lower. I have honestly no idea. I don't know. Maybe I'm underselling myself. But the point is, it wasn't that much. And it still doesn't mean you didn't learn anything. Like it's funny how it trickles in the things that you learn through this crazy door-to-door experience that you just
Yeah.
kind of start like, we're like, wow, this helps me here. Like you just said, the studio manager creed, but that became something that you now like live by accident almost, but not by accident, but subconsciously. And you're like, this is changing the way that I interact with people, and it's changing how they respond to me, and they can tell that it's genuine because I've learned all these other things to now be able to apply these skills. And it's really cool to see that you're doing that.
I sold enough books where I was able to learn the values. I sold about 2,000 units each summer. So I think I
Yeah.
sold 2,000, 2,200, and 2,300. I think that was my total units was 2,000, 20, like almost around 2,000 every summer, which is enough sales to say this person was working most of the summer, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was enough working, showing up to the Sunday meetings where I was actually hearing everything they were saying. But I learned, it finally landed and resonated after I left Southwestern. I think the first 2 years out of Southwestern was where all of the things that I was taught in Southwestern finally hit me, and I was like, whoa, I finally get what they're saying. Like I didn't understand self-talk till now. I thought it was stupid. I'm like, what am I just saying some things to make myself happy? But I'm like, I think sometimes we're being taught by 19, 20, 21 year olds where they might embody the principles themselves, but they haven't learned enough where they're effectively teaching and communicating it. So I'm just seeing self-talk as this stupid thing that people are saying, like, today I'm going to be happy, healthy, and terrific, right? Like these little like catchphrases. But really what self-talk is how I speak about myself. And like how I see myself, how I'm, what I wrote a poem. Oh my God, Andres, I'm gonna read you this poem.
Do it.
If I go off the air, this is crazy. I wrote this poem, and hang on, I'm gonna pull up down my screen. Will you still be able to hear me if I pull down my
I think
screen?
so. I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna
I
keep
mean, we
talking.
got
Tell
we
me,
got we got I have ads to be able
can
to
you can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
yeah. Yeah, I can hear I
Okay,
can still hear you.
so I wrote this poem, and I'm actually going to text it to you because you'll be able to see it on your phone a little bit better too. But it's called "What Do You See in the Mirror?" And it
Hold on, let me
starts like
grab my
this:
phone.
I see a
What do you
man
see?
resistant to love. No, I'm not going to say that yet because I need to be on
Oh, okay.
off service. But it says,
Got it.
I see a. What do you see in the mirror? I see a man resistant to love. No longer will he be open at heart, living life on his terms. He chooses to close. The stories of self doubt give him the power. Love and connection he will no longer go after. Worldly desires are all that he needs. Meaningful relationships are empty indeed. Conversations that stop him fill into his soul. With courage and strength, he always falls short. Never will he believe, I truly love this man. Perspective is everything as we see what we choose to see. Change your mindset, change your life. Now read again from the bottom to the top. I truly love this man. Never will he believe that he always falls short. While courage and strength fill into his soul, conversations that stop him are empty indeed. Meaningful relationships are all that he needs. Worldly desires he will no longer go after. Love and connection give him the power. The stories of self doubt he chooses to close, living life on his terms, open at heart. No longer will he be resistant to love. I see a man. What do you see in the mirror?
That's pretty cool.
So I literally wrote it where you can read it from top to bottom, and it
And then
sends
go
you a
back.
negative message, and then bottom to the top, and it's an inspirationally positive message. And I realized what they're teaching us about in Southwestern is my poem. They're teaching, um, they're teaching everything that I wrote about. They're teaching you to look in the mirror and see all of the positives and see all of your gifts and see all of the great things about your circumstance, to look at a circumstance and see why this opportunity is a blessing, to look at your door-to-door 80-hour a week experience and see why this is such an amazing gift that you've been given. And instead of seeing all the negatives, oh man, I'm missing time with my friends, I'm missing time with my loved ones, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. I realized that is what self-talk is. That's what positive self-talk is it's by seeing a situation and saying, so a positive attitude, Dave Kleifkin, my student manager, was like, a positive attitude is accepting reality and moving forward. So I think sometimes in Southwestern, people practice toxic positivity, which is not a positive attitude. I think that the problem is what people mask as positivity is actually toxic positivity, where they're blinding themselves from reality. I was with a friend. And this friend, you actually know him. I'm not going to use a name.
Tom.
It's your student manager. I was with a friend, and he was embodying toxic positivity. And he says something like this. He says, I hate war, even though war has never existed during my lifetime. And I said, we have been at war every single day since you've been born. And he goes, maybe in your reality, my reality is different. I'm like, no. War is like a factual thing. Like when you declare war on a country, that is like a factually documented thing. It's not like a mindset that I have. And I'm not saying it from like a negative place that just because we're at war, I'm, whatever. But I'm like, I think in Southwestern, people ignore the facts, ignore like the actual facts to brainwash themselves into believing that it's positive, instead of saying, here are the facts. The facts are the results of my past week were very bad. The facts are the result of my organization is half of my team was not knocking every day. The results are half my team was not doing this. Instead of blinding myself from the fact that half the team wasn't working and just going, maybe, whatever, here's the facts, and I'm going to accept the facts, and I'm going to adjust myself so that the facts now, it's just feedback, right? My team not working is feedback of my lack of leadership. My results, me not getting the sale is feedback that I wasn't connected with the customer in a way that they were inspired. And I learned that. I went out and went door to door with Vivint 2 summers ago. I rolled up my sleeves again after the pandemic, and I went out and door to door, and I was so heartbroken by how they were teaching people to sell. Knocking down doors. Let's bulldoze our way through the deals. And I'm like, look, I was doing so bad. I was like, after one full week, I was like, I don't know why I got back into the door to door world. What was I thinking? I escaped that a long time ago. And I'm like, but I committed to finishing. I'm committed to finishing. I'm a man of my word. And I ripped up my script and I threw it on the ground. And I'm like, I'm not quitting, but I'm quitting how you're teaching me to do this. And I have 12 years of leadership experience. I've been a mentor for a Grammy nominated recording artist. I've been a mentor for a reality television show star. I've led rooms of people that are substantially more successful than anyone in this company. And I'm like, I'm going to do this for 1 week. And if I don't get results, then I'll go back to doing it the way that I'm supposed to be doing it. But I can't treat people the way that you're teaching me to treat them. And I can't read off a script. And I was like, I'm going to go out. I went out and sold. I'm like, you're going to drop me off here, and I'm going to talk to these 5 houses. I'm not going to talk to 30 houses like I'm supposed to. I'm going to talk to these 5 houses, and I'm going to sell all 5 of them. I didn't sell all 5 of them. Give me a second. I didn't talk to all 5 of them. But I'm going to talk to these 5 houses, and you're going to pick me up at the end of the street. And they're like, okay. I'm like, do you trust me? He's like, yeah. Like, my manager and I had a good relationship. He's like, yeah, I trust you. I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. Like I said, at the end of the week, if this doesn't work, please, I'll tell me, and I'll go back to doing what I'm supposed to be doing. First guy I go up to the door, I knock on the door, and I'm telling myself, I'm selling every single person I talk to today. And this angry guy comes out, angry black guy comes out, big guy. He goes up to my face. He goes, what do you want? I take 2 steps back, and I say, sir, I just want people to be kind to each other. like, thank you for asking. My mission in the world is just that people are present with each other and people treat people like people. And, that's really genuinely what I want. What is it that you want? And he turns his head like a puppy dog, and he goes, the same thing. And I said, then why are you being so mean?
Why
And
are
he
you being
goes,
an asshole?
I thought you were selling something. I'm like, I am, and now you have to buy. And he goes, I know. He lets me in. He lets me in, and he buys. I sold him a security system, and in the security system world, I hadn't even sold it. This is my first sale. I hadn't even sold a deal yet, and this is my first deal. And I'm like, oh
Wow.
yeah, I was like, I decided to rip up my script and do it this way. I leave and I go next door, and I knock on the door, and I go, hi, how are you? So this lady comes out and she goes, I'm great. How are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. And I hand her a copy of my book, and I go, my name is Braxton. I'm actually a published author. Have you ever heard of the book or read the book Simon Sinek's Start With Why?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm just going to
Love it.
start with my why. I'm going to start with my why. I'm not going to start with what I'm doing. I'm starting with why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I said, look, I'm sure I'm a published author. I'm sure you've been affected by the pandemic one way or another, just like I have, just like all your neighbors have. And as an author of self-help books, I just decided that the best thing that I could do for my community was introduce myself to people and have some real conversations. That's why I'm here. What I'm doing is working with a company called Vivint. We do like the doorbell cameras and stuff like that. And then I would go into it. And my critical question in the business was, I would connect with them really deeply, not even talking about the security system. I'd just be talking about life. I'd be talking about, all this deep stuff, kind of like a conversation we're having. And I would stop them and I'd say, Andres, would the world be a better place if more people had these types of conversations? And they would always say, oh my God, yeah. And I go, that's the mission that I'm on. That's what I'm doing. The best way for you to support this mission is by taking a really good look at what I'm about to show you. And if you'd use it, buy it. And and then I would show them all of the,
Good,
all the products
good old
that
vibe
all the product.
atmosphere.
So they're now buying a mission. They're not buying a product. They're buying a mission. Um, and it was so much different than how I was taught, and people were so much better. So I left this house. This woman was so excited by her purchase. I go next door, and I'm with this family. They're a little bit poorer. They weren't like dirt poor, but they're like $60 a month was a little bit of a stretch for them. And this woman had like a little child, probably 3 or 4 years old, and I could tell that she wanted the security cameras. I won't push something on someone that if they don't want it, but I could tell that she really wanted the security cameras. And I said, look, she goes, yeah, it's just a lot of money. And I said, look, I could make more money if I would walk out of this house and go sell to your neighbor. I would make more money doing it that way. But I'm not going to do that, because my commitment to you is to help you break through your belief barriers so that your child can be raised in a way where his dreams right now are not shattered. Right now, this 3-year-old kid believes that he could one day grow up and become Batman. Not figuratively speaking, he literally believes that he will be flying around the streets fighting crime and saving the world. And my intention is that he does that. I was like, but the unfortunate truth and how people are raised is so many people tell you, no, you can't. No, you can't do this. You can't do that. You're not good enough here. You're not good enough there. And then at some point in time, we start believing them. And I'm like, this kid right now, he believes that he can become Batman. And by the time he's 18 or 19, he's going to settle for being a janitor. He's going to settle for being a this, being a that, being a that, because he's going to stop believing that magic is possible. I was like, so this isn't about me selling you a security system. This is about me inspiring you to stop believing that $60 a month is a lot of money. Stop believing that you can't do something and start believing that you can do whatever you want to do. And I'm like, this conversation and this monthly bill that you're about to add is going to be a reminder to this conversation. Every single time you see the $60 going out of your bank account, you're going to remember this conversation, and it's going to be worth more money to you than the money leaving your bank account. And she's like crying at this point. And she goes, you're right. She goes, you're right. And so I literally left that house. I got the deal. It's 9:30 at night. I'm like, got another technician out. The guy that dropped me off, car group driver, comes and picks me up. And I'm literally 3 houses over from where I started. Granted, I was taking so much more time in these houses connecting with the people, but I was feeling better about myself. And I mean, guess what? 3 sales in a day in the alarm world's pretty damn good. I leave the house, and oh my God, I have a book story I got to tell you. This is hilarious. So I leave the house, and there's 3 technician cars at all 3 of the houses. I was like, I told you I'm going to sell to all these houses. And he goes, dude, like whatever you're doing, I'm not even going to try to coach you anymore. He's like, just keep doing it. That was my Vivint career. This reminded me of a book story. My 3rd summer.
I love your brain. You just tell.
Oh my God. Well. My best day on the book field. My best day on the book field. I know a couple people that have had better days, like single days of more units on the book field. I only know a few. I sold 325 units on my best day on the book field. Mind you, a 2,200 unit producer has a 325 unit day on the book field. And I'm having a horrible week. For the first time in my career, do I think I'm not even going to make pace setter. It's Saturday. I'm sitting on 17 units. 17 units.
Sad day.
Pretty sad week. Pretty bad week, right? And I'm like, my OL, unfortunately, his dad died in the middle of the summer. So we were like orphans my 3rd summer. Like my OL was not there. He was managing us remotely. And he was a big deal. Do you know Dave Kleifkin? That was my student manager.
Yeah, I know Dave.
Yeah, he was a big deal. So he went home like week 6 or 7, and his father died, and so we're like orphans on the book field. And I'm like just trying to survive this summer. This is my last summer, like no matter what. Like this is definitely my last summer. I'm done. This is it. This is my last survival. But I'm like, I want to finish strong. You know what I mean? Like I don't want my last summer to be like done. You know, I want to do well. So I'm driving. Like everyone knows that I'm having problems. You know, all of my roommates left and went home. I had a 3rd-year roommate go home that summer. Like our org was in shambles, but like specifically my HQ was in shambles. I'm with this B manager guy. I'm driving to drop him off for work, and Dave, who's managing, our org back from home, goes, I have an idea. I think German should follow you today. I think it would be good for both of you. So I U-turn it on the highway, and I'm going to my org, right? And German watches me sell 16 people straight. I knocked on 16 doors. Well, okay, there is a small little exception here. I'll get to it. But I sold to 16 people straight. I talked to 16 people. All of them bought something from me for 325 units. Okay?
That's wild.
So,
dude.
Mind you, customer number 9 said, I only have $40. And I said, I needed new samples anyway. So I sold him samples out of my bag. So I count that as a customer. I count that as an active. I count it as an active streak. So 16 straight customers, 16 straight people. We're driving back home. And I'm like, dude, I just poured my fucking heart out on the book field. This is my last week of my entire career, and I don't have anything left in me. And I did everything I possibly could to go home on a really good note. And I thought, God damn, did I show this guy, a really good day, right? And
Jesus,
we're driving home. We're talking about Dave, my student manager, who, mind you, was kind of like the face of Southwestern. And he goes, man, I really want to shadow Dave. I just want to see how he does it. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say? You just what?
You witnessed one of the best days of the summer, bro.
You witnessed the best day of Southwestern. You there's I'm sorry, I don't know many people that have went 16 straight people without hearing the word no. Um, I was just like, I
Wild.
stopped the car on the road and I was like, dude, I am offended.
I would have been pissed too. I think I've only known one person that did more, and that's it. Like that's pretty high. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's
That's
funny.
wild, dude.
I told you I don't have many book stories, but I'm like that. To me, I'm like that is a book story worth
That
telling. I'm like that.
hell yeah.
And I will say like people that know me as a person, that is who I am, right? Like I don't care where I'm at. Like when I'm committed to something, and it's like game over, and like that was like one of those moments. Like there's like little parts of my life where I've shown myself like when I tap into something, when I tap into my inner power, I can achieve things that no one else can achieve. And I like I said, my a lot of my growth happened like after Southwestern, but I think that was kind of like one of the first steps towards towards really achieving greatness, and
Yeah.
really like embodying what it means to be successful. And like successful is not like there's so many areas of success. There's your social success, intimate relationship success, health and fitness success, financial success. There's so many different family life success. Like it's balancing like so many different things. But if you embody the principles that we're taught, you can be successful in all areas. you
Yeah.
know so
Yeah.
that was a moment where I was like, man, I have something in me, I have something special in me, and I have like, when I'm connected here, I can really achieve like so much. And it was like I said, it was a moment where I started to realize my greatness.
Dude. Dude, that is such a cool realization to have. It's sad that most people don't. Well, I don't want to say most people. That's not true. It's sad when people don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you see it in others and they don't see it in themselves, and you're like, ah, man, if only you could see what I see, you would understand. The potential in you, right? And when you
Yeah,
recognize it in you, it's pretty powerful.
it's so powerful. And it's like when I see like, um do you know Gareth? Are you friends with Gareth?
I don't think so. I don't
Gareth
know.
Penner. Oh
I
my
don't know.
God, I love him. Um, but I love him. He's a book guy. He's a little bit loony, but he's hilarious. And I'm like, man, like me and my friends, we literally just like talk like Gareth stories are like what we talk about like all day, every day. I'm like, this guy is so funny. And I'm like, man, like if I've said before, I'm like, if Gareth isn't an internationally famous comedian, I have failed. Because I'm like, man, like he, like, I'm going to send you this IG clip where he was selling Vivint with us. And he talks about, like, he's like, I witnessed a fight. He's like, on one side you had turkey and on the other side you had salami. And he talks about this fight that he witnessed while he was out knocking. And it's this whole metaphoric thing. And he's like, salami is just banging on turkey. He's just banging on him, tearing him down, banging on him. And he's like, at 7:32, Salami gets a visit from his personal trainer, Honey Mustard. And he goes, and Honey Mustard, puts himself on turkey. And you know what happens? It's the comeback story of the year. And um, and so he's like, he gives us the turkey and salami story, and he's like turkey is the mom on the other side of the door, or salami's the mom and you're the turkey. And he's like, he gives us like hilarious story. And we're like, dude, like this kid has a gift. I'm like, but I don't know if he sees it.
The Gab.
So
He's like the comedian.
yeah, exactly. So that was, anyway, that was
He doesn't see it though.
I told myself, if Penner doesn't isn't like internationally famous, it's because I've failed. So I'm like, dude, I see the kid's potential. It's amazing. Um, but yeah, that's my 2 cents.
That dude, man, like such a cool Yeah, I just always look back and think to myself like, oh, also we probably have to do a couple ads really quick, but after this thought, and then we can move on. I don't know uh how much time you have. Are you still good to go on time a little bit,
Uh,
or what's the?
let's wrap it up in the next like 20 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I was gonna say that I didn't ask you what your time frame was, and I didn't get it clear, so I might as well just ask you on the air. But that's right.
I'm in
Okay,
Argentina,
fair enough.
man. I have like no
Yeah,
plans.
it's like well, it's are you in East Coast? Are you the same as East Coast
I'm
USA
one
time?
hour ahead of you guys.
Portland?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 4 hours ahead of you guys.
Okay, so I was gonna say so. It's okay. Got it. Yeah, 20 minutes sounds good. 20 minutes sounds good. But I'll do some ads and then we can go into some last couple thoughts here. But um,
Cool.
uh, you had said something and it's interesting. I look back on all my life and I'm like, and here's the thing, man. I don't hate Southwestern. I don't I'm not particularly like in love with Southwestern either. It's just it's a thing I did in college, but there's no way of shaping or no way of denying that the things that I'm able to do today in my life, personally, professionally, and or just generally speaking, like they're impacted by some way by something I learned here. And it's so funny that it pops up at the places it just pops up. You know, I'll be even from the little things. I was like, you're walking and you see it like a house, and you're like, wow, that person's a buyer. You know, just by like the way the house looks. You know what I mean? Or when you meet a person and their personality, I'm like, if I knocked on your door, you'd buy. That's a or, yeah, it's just such a cool idea that like it comes back to you in different ways. This experience, you know. So I don't know. I it's just a random thought, but you made me think of it because that's what you mentioned before. It's like it just creeps in. So
Yeah.
um yeah, anyway, so all right, bro, I got a couple more questions for you. Let me do some a couple more of shout outs to some of our friends here, and then we can I did want to ask a little bit about another thing about the movie, and then one more thing about your book. But yeah, um okay, guys. So just so you guys know, Thought Leader is working with us exclusively. If you're a motivated person, high performance sales, interested in making about 200K or more a year, working about 4 hours a week, or sorry, 4 days a week, you are doing us a great favor if you want to join Thought Leader in their team. Why? Because they are selling a proven business on landing TEDx talks. Thought Leader is an online education company, very similar to what Braxton's doing with his Airbnb and teaching you how to let me succeed at the Airbnb game. They're teaching you how to succeed at landing a successful TEDx platform, which, by the way, Braxton, you need a TEDx talk. But if you want to work helping people, interesting people like Braxton and other interesting people in the world on how to land their TEDx talk and earn money doing so, they're looking to add two or more, or at least two more Southwestern alumni sales advisors on their team of 25 people. It's fully remote. If you're interested, reach Dillon Barr, Thought Leaders Head of Sales and Client Experience. His email is db@thoughtleader.com. Another quick shout out to Cardinal Senior Benefits. These guys, another tip of the week from Quintin on networking. So his thought, and this is actually pretty cool. I thought very very intentional about spending time with people that are where you want to be and do the things that you know they are doing. So basically, the whole idea of birds of a feather flock together, or you're the average of the five people that you spend the most time with. But basically, make those people part of your network and routine. When you're around mediocre people, you're able to convince yourself that your shit don't stink. So when you're surrounding yourself with people who are studs, you're able to keep growth in that mindset. So when you're choosy about how you spend your time, you're going to end up being better off. So that's cool advice from our friends over at Cardinal Senior Benefits. My man Braxton, Emperor Versace. A couple more questions I had for you. One, is there a specific time where you can expect this movie to roll out so we can go watch it, or is it, or like how can we once it's out, how can we go see it, or are we talking about this more again in the future when we have you back on?
The answer is both. I have an answer for both of those things. So
Okay.
we will talk about this more in the future. Obviously, I don't have a solidified date. Once we're in the film festivals and we have a purchaser, we're talking to some studios. We're talking to some different things. But once we have an actual purchaser, on who will be airing our film, I'll have a better answer for you on that. follow me on my Instagram if you would like some updates on the film project, or or different aspects of my life that I'll post that are pretty interesting too. At Emperor_Versace. Emperor_Versace. That's my Instagram tag. I'll be giving movie updates, and when I'm allowed to air the trailer, I'll air the trailer on my IG. I'll give details on my Instagram. I would say a timetable of when the movie will be ready will be early 2023.
Cool.
So Chelsea Film Festival is going to happen. How the festivals work, it's a little bit different. So we missed the deadline because our film was still in production for Sundance and South by Southwest. So we are still going to apply to those when they open up in August. And the festivals, the major festivals, they always want to be the one that airs your project. So South by Southwest and Sundance are considered considerably better than Chelsea. So Chelsea is like usually around like the top of the second tier film festivals. So it's kind of like a provisionary one that we've been accepted to, which we will gladly, and humbly, agree to. And it's kind of like playing the festival game. We have a chance to win Chelsea Film Festival, or we have a chance to be aired at Sundance. Like, for example, Cannes was one of the festivals we applied to. Top Gun was the American film that got chosen. So we really didn't have a fight against Tom Cruise's Top Gun.
Kind of hard
But
to beat.
really,
Tom
I mean,
Cruise.
really hard to beat. So, if we get accepted by Sundance or South by Southwest, we'll actually probably premiere at one of those and bypass Chelsea. But Chelsea right now is one that's that we currently are accepted into. So I'll give you guys the updates on that. If people would like to come to the festival and be part of the film team, you can reach out to me on Instagram, and I'll let you know, the details for that. I do have some producer tickets. I do have, I'll help you guys with accommodations and things of that sort. If you want to be part of the team and you want to basically when you go, it's all about the ground team. You got to fall in love with the movie like I fall in love with the movie, and just talk about it, just create a buzz about it, party. And again, like one of the biggest reasons why I got brought onto this is I have the ability to make waves. So it's all about the parties. It's all about going to the parties and making a buzz about it. So, me as a professional dancer, I go to the parties, I make a huge buzz, I meet a bunch of people, and I find the person that invests a couple $1 million in our film. So if you want to be part of the team, send me a message on Instagram. You're more than welcome to. Basically, being part of the team means that you're part of the parties that we go to. You still have to, get your flight there, you pay your accommodations and stuff like that. But we'll invite you to all the parties that we're at, and you can be part of our crew. While we're out there, it's just a lot of fun. A lot of fun with like work intention behind it. So yeah, add me on Instagram, connect with me. I'm happy to hear about that. What were the additional questions you had?
Yeah, first of all, that's awesome, dude. That's so cool that you're working on this. This is awesome. Okay, and then second thing I had for you is your book. Is there a specific time, your second book, that you're wanting to roll this out? Is there like a timeline do you have that we can be looking forward to getting on
I
that, or is that
haven't
still kind of in the progress?
I haven't written a word on paper yet. This is an idea I had like 3 or 4 days ago, where I was like, "Oh my god, I need to write a new book called Finding Your Coachella." So,
Dude, yes, you
Instagram,
do.
my Instagram will have updates for that. But I will say that I wrote my first book from the time that I put my pen to my paper and started writing my book. Because people will ask me all the time, "How long did it take to write your book?" And I'm like, "It took me 28 years." Um,
Right.
I started writing the book, but from the time I put pen to paper, by the time the book was published, it was 7 months. So I'd say 2020 or January, February, I should have it. I should have it published.
Cool. And if you guys want to check out Braxton's first book, the link for his book will be on the description of the episode below, so you can go check out the first one out there, and make sure you guys go support. And it's called "Let's Start a Cult: Radical Belief." is the idea, where how you can make giant movements, which obviously you are a master of. Also, speaking of books, go check out my book if you want to, The Cost of Citizenship. That's also on Amazon. So that's about how my family moved to the United States. We almost got murdered.
I actually I heard the story. It's interesting. Yeah, I've heard the story.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a good time. Authors and all that jazz, my man. And then one more question to ask you is, if we are interested in getting access to this Airbnb course, how do we get a hold of you for that, or is that still an
Yeah,
option?
it's definitely still an option. So I'm actually starting. I'm starting my first course. I'm guessing by the time this episode airs, it'll be after the start of the course. The first day of the course is July 6th, but then I'll be
Okay.
opening up another course in the middle of August. So when this episode airs, then people could fill the seats for that. Send me a message on Instagram or email me at braxam27@gmail.com. BRAXAM as in Mary 27@gmail.com, and I'll go over details with you. My entire goal and purpose is, I'm telling you, like when I break down the price, I'm like, literally, I have gotten 30 properties in 1 year. Literally, if you get one property, just one, if you have one property, that will pay off the course times 10. I'm like, if the guy that did 30 properties can teach you to do one property, that will pay off the entire course times 10.
Not a bad return on your
That's not
investment,
a bad
ladies and gentlemen.
ROI. And I'm like, my intention
That's
is that you have
not
three or four, like,
pretty not bad.
um,
Yeah, so if you're below mediocre, if you're a 2,000 unit producer of the Airbnb world, you can make your you can make your return on investment times 10. That's if
yeah,
you're the
yeah,
that's if you're the Braxton
yeah.
of
I,
Airbnb.
I'm the Dustin Hillis of the Airbnb world, but if you're the Braxton of
Not
the
bad.
Airbnb world, that's funny.
Oh man,
Or
my God.
or or if you really want to show me what you're made of, show me that I'm still some bullshit 2,000 unit producer and outproduce me.
There you go. Become the Dustin
Out
Hillis.
Go get 50.
Good. Do it. Go crush it. Bro, this is so fun. Wow. Well, man, I'm looking forward to our next conversation. I know we're going to have you back on again closer to when the movie is more set to be released, so we have a more clear
Yeah.
release. And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, um, it'll be as soon as possible. I'm excited to see it. I've seen the trailer, guys, and I can't share too much on it, but I know that it is going to be awesome. The production looks amazing. The acting looks phenomenal. Jeremy Luke, it looks like he was the perfect fit for the role. And Mickey Rourke's little cameos here and there, and Noel G too. That's my homie as a Hispanic bro.
Yeah,
Like, let's
dude.
go.
I love Noel G from everyone's like, Hector from Fast and the Furious is in your film. I'm like, yeah, bro.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not a movie that was just we put together a movie with a bunch of our buddies. You know what I mean? Like we have
These are
like
actors. Yeah,
Nick Turturro, who was Brucey from The Longest Yard. If you remember him,
yeah.
Noel G, who's been in like Fast and the Furious.
He
You
was on.
have
He's the guy who had a monkey up his butt in Bruce
Yeah,
Almighty.
in Bruce Almighty. Yeah, yeah. Did
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
monkey just come up your crack, man? Yeah,
yeah.
Noel G, Mickey Rourke, who's obviously nominated for an Academy Award. So like, um, there are some real, actors in this film. Like we spent a lot of money to put together a high quality production. So I am just excited to share this because I genuinely think that number one, you're gonna love it, and it's a great story. It's a great film. It's a thriller. You're gonna be on the edge of your seat. This movie was actually an award-winning play. When it was on,
Oh,
it was originally an award-winning play back in like 2007, I think. And a bunch of celebrities in Hollywood came and saw it. Ron Jeremy was one of the people that came and saw the play. But it ended up winning like a bunch of awards. And the director, which I watched this movie and I'm like, how the hell is this a play? It doesn't make any sense. Like when you watch the film, it's bizarre that they could have even pulled it off as a play. Um, but it was a high award, very prestigious awards that this film won when it was at first a play. Then they turned it into a short, and now it's a full film.
Dude, that's pretty legit. That's so cool. Well, brother, I'm proud of you, proud of what you're doing, proud of the mentality that you have and the life that you are, living every day just with this giant passion to help others. I'm hoping that you're enjoying your time down in South America, baby. Let's go,
I
Mr.
of course
Celebrity.
am. I of course
Dude,
am. Yeah, dude, it is crazy. I love the Argentinian people. Like I love how I can come down here by myself. And this is just Latin Americans as a whole. It's not just Argentina just happens to be where I was accepted, but it's so cool how I can come down, not even speak the language and be welcomed in like family. I have friends that I have met here in the past 3 or 4 weeks where I just, I not only did they accept me, but they welcomed me. There's a
yeah.
difference. And I feel like just genuinely welcomed, like into their homes. People I've had 6 different friends throw barbecues at their homes so that they could introduce me to their friends and family. Like I think that is so amazing. It's so humbling just to think about, that like no one would ever do that in the U.S. No one would ever do that. And I'm like, man, I feel like family down here. Like I love this country.
Super awesome, dude. I will always debate you that Colombia is better than Argentina, but that's a whole, story for
It's
another time,
valid.
Mr. Chris.
It's a story for another time. It's valid. Well, thanks for having me on, and I'm genuinely excited to to just continue being part of the Ponytails community.
Dude, heck yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So thank you so much. Speaking of that, by the way, if you guys want to be a part of our community, we'll close it with this announcement. Remember, the Colt is coming out, COLT. It's going to be our newsletter. You can join the stable to receive the monthly newsletter, which is called the Colt. Keep track of your units, get free stuff, win prizes, all that jazz. So make sure you guys sign
I,
up. Go ahead.
I love the units thing. That's so funny.
We had
I
to.
love
And the
it.
fact that
I
it's called
love
the
it.
Colts, come on now. We try it. Everything's
Oh,
for the stable.
I love all of it. So cool. I'm
All
jumping off.
right.
It was so great to hang.
Sounds good. See you guys. Actually, stick around after we end the recording. Oh, actually, he's gone. All right, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, I see. He disconnected. Oh, his internet fell again. Oh, he might pop back on. Well, I'll just have to call him. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll see you on